Shout out to G-Man Boxing.
Alright, people, so Anthony Joshua, following on from his win over Jermaine Franklin, well, actually, even before he even fought Jermaine Franklin, before he was even announced as the opponent, we heard Eddie Hearn mention that 2023, certainly the early part of the year, is going to be rebuilding. You know, Joshua coming off the back of back-to-back defeats to Alexander Usyk, and a mental breakdown in the ring. He obviously needed a bit of time, a bit of rehab. So we knew April would be a reasonably easier touch. And Eddie Hearn was talking about Dillian Whyte in July, obviously then culminating in potentially a big fight in December or potentially another rehabilitation fight. Now, having seen how he was against Jermaine Franklin, personally for me, I felt that he needed another rehabilitation fight in the summer. And he needed someone like a Dillian Whyte, someone who he has a bit of needle with, who he doesn't particularly seem to like. Yes, he respects Dillian Whyte, but he doesn't particularly seem to like him. And Dillian Whyte, who more so now than ever looks there for the taking, looks vulnerable as hell. And that's the type of fight that would help Joshua along in his rehabilitation. I did think Jermaine Franklin would be that type of fighter as well. Boy, was I wrong there. Yeah, he won it soundly, but still a lot of eyebrows to be raised in that fight. So that's what I thought the plan was going to be. And then, depending on how he looked in the summer, it was really a case of, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to go and have another rehabilitation fight? Personally, I think he needs about 2 or 3. Or do you want to maybe look at going down the roads of a Deontay Wilder, a Joe Joyce, a Tyson Fury, etc., if their fights are available? Well, doesn't seem like we're going to get that, because Joshua actually, if you see there on screen, posted on his Instagram page a couple of hours ago that he won't be fighting again till December, which is when his next fight is scheduled, interestingly enough. So it's already scheduled for then. Obviously no opponent is being announced, and he said it's part of a bigger picture. Now, you're trying to figure out why that is. So, injury potentially, but Joshua didn't appear to have any issues in the Franklin fight, didn't appear to pick any injury up, didn't appear, for anyone's knowledge, to be going in there with an injury. So, injury is a possibility, sure, but I doubt that very much. You know, normally if a fighter is injured, they will tell you. So I doubt that. In terms of fights scheduled, does that mean he has a fight lined up that he knows, right, this is a done deal? If that is the case, then who would it be against? You know, would it be in the UK? Fight in December in the UK? Interesting. I mean, a lot of people were speculating on the stream I done that it could be a fight in Saudi against, well, God knows who. I mean, some people were speculating that maybe we will actually get Fury versus Usyk in the summer, and the winner of that fight would fight Joshua maybe in Saudi Arabia in December. I mean, obviously Joshua has fought in December in Saudi Arabia. He obviously fought Andy Ruiz out there. And, you know, I mean, the Saudis, obviously, the fighters are getting astronomical paychecks out there. They really are. So if you're talking about a financial incentive, then yeah. We don't know if it's there or not. It could be anywhere. It could be in the UK. It could be in the US for all we know. But I'm just trying to think of the logic behind this. You know, some people were saying that this gives Joshua a chance to stay in the gym and work on things with his new trainer, Derek James. And from what I'm gathering, he's going to be staying with Derek James, which is a good thing. I know Jamie mentioned that it could have something to do with the fact that Derek James is training Errol Spence, hopefully for his fight with Terence Crawford in June. But I was kind of like, well, if he plans on fighting in the summer, whether it be July or August, I mean, that's still plenty of time starting camp, maybe fight week or just after fight week. So it's not a case of that it's going to be, you know, I'm definitely fighting in June, so either me or Spence, take your pick, or I can't wait, you know, a couple of extra weeks. I'm sure if it's a rehabilitation fight, he could easily swing a late July, early August fight with Derek James in his corner. Strange. Is strange. That's roughly 9 months, December from now, which is a long time. It is inactivity, which I feel Joshua doesn't need necessarily. And when you're with a new trainer, yeah, I mean, in one sense, it's a good thing because it does help him ingratiate himself into how Derek James does things. Because when you're with, and a good example would be Joseph Parker. Obviously Derek Chisora had seen better days, but when Derek Chisora fought Parker in May, Joe Parker had just left Kevin Barry. He'd only been working with Andy Lee for roughly 6 weeks, if even, maybe a bit more. So he didn't look particularly good in there against Derek Chisora. Obviously, next time around, he had an extra 6 months to train with Andy Lee. So he looked a lot better in the Chisora fight, saying that Chisora looked a lot worse, truth be told, in that fight, in the Parker rematch. It takes time to fully get up to speed with a trainer. And, when you're with a new trainer and you're trying out new things, it's better to have opponents that allow you, for want of a better word, to try new things out rather than going in there at the deep end. Because you'll often see it with fighters, and they're with a new trainer and they're fighting a guy a bit lower down the levels. They'll often try new things, a few things the trainer's shown them, because you can get away with it with an opponent like that, the lower level, and even probably a Dillian Whyte, truth be told, at this point in his career. But if he's fighting a Wilder, a Joyce, a Fury, an Usyk, he's not going to be able to try out new things. And Joshua, to help him from a mental standpoint, I think he needs to be in the ring looking devastating. I don't think inactivity is the right thing for him. Just in my opinion, I don't. I think that another 9 months out of the ring, and this is assuming that it's going to be a big fight, an extra 9 months out of the ring, albeit, you'll be training with Eric James, but I think the best way to rebuild Joshua mentally as opposed physically is actually going in there and looking devastating. And he could potentially be going in there against a Fury, an Usyk, a Wilder, just assuming it's maybe one of those three. I don't know. It could very well be. I mean, he's lost to Usyk 3 times or twice already, and I wouldn't pick him a third time, no way. Some people still would, amazingly, believe it or not. I'm sure Bellew still thinks the 2 losses were a fluke because he's a clown. You talk about Tyson Fury, I'd be heavily favouring Fury at this stage. And Deontay Wilder, I think AJ mentally would need to be in the right headspace to fight Wilder. I think he would overthink that right hand way too much at this point now. Way too much. So definitely going to be interesting to see what news Eddie Hearn has on this. Because I see an interview with, I think it was ID Boxing did with Frank Smith, and he was mentioning Dillian Whyte in the summer. So it's like, this must have only just come around like that. And I do know that, and people can say whatever they want, like Matchroom are the promoter, but in terms of the fights Joshua takes next, that's all down to him. He's the one who does that. So it's not Eddie Hearn going and saying, oh, we want you to fight Dillian Whyte, but actually let's go and fight Fury. The matchmaking point of it, who Joshua picks, that's more down to him as opposed to anyone else. So I'm sure Eddie Hearn can have some input in it, but it's Joshua who has to say, this is who I'm going to fight, and this is where I'm going to fight him. So for obvious reasons, he's decided, I want the fight that's scheduled in December. We obviously don't know who it is. I want it in December, and I don't want to follow what Eddie Hearn wants me to do. I don't want to go through Dillian Whyte in the summer, and I don't want to go through such and such and such and such. What does that mean for someone like a Dillian Whyte in the summer? Will he go and maybe go in there and target a Daniel Dubois if Dubois doesn't fight Alexander Usyk next? Because he's kind of in the wilderness now, if you think about it. Because he was really banking on getting that Joshua fight following on from Jermaine Franklin. It doesn't look like he's going to get it at all now. So what is he going to do next? Maybe that's a separate video we can talk about tomorrow after review of the week. Let's wait and see. I'll leave it there, people. I hope you enjoyed the video. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. Happy Easter to everyone who celebrates it. And for now, oh yes, and thank you as always to the Hit Company for sponsoring today's video. As I always say, thanks again. Thank you so much. Appreciate the support, and the link is down in the description. For now, lads and lassies, we're back to normal on the channel. We had a little bit of a break. Obviously, I was travelling over in the UK, which was good fun. But now we're back home, we're back settled, and we're back making videos. And I've got some upgrades for the channel coming in terms of audio and stuff like that. I'm renovating my bedroom now at the minute. I'm not renovating it per se. I'm just trying to make space to actually get a proper... I just don't know how it's going to work. So I might be changing the layout a bit, but I don't know how it's going to work. I'm going to have to take measurements and stuff like that in the next few days, but we're working on that. I'm not going to bore you with that. I'll leave you with that, people. Peace.